Good morning and welcome to the Friday, June 26th meeting of the Riel Community Committee. I'm joined here in the council chamber by my colleague, Councillor Brian Mays, Councillor for St. Vital, and our committee clerk, Rebecca Ford, and our city administration staff. I would like to start our meeting by acknowledging that we're gathered on Treaty 1 territory, the ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dene, and Dakota people, and the birthplace of the Red River Métis Nation. The water that we drink and enjoy is sourced from Shoal Lake 40, located in Treaty 3 territory. I'd like to, I need a motion to excuse Councillor Allard, who's away on personal matter.
So moved, and my own personal view is, as a result of that, I will not be prepared to deal with items 3, 4, and 5 under the public hearings. Everything else looks okay to me to deal with today, but I'll move to excuse Councillor Allard for a personal matter.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Also need a motion to accept our minutes from our previous meetings
in this case, yeah.
So moved.
June 2nd and June 19th.
June 2nd and June 19th.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Would we also like to make a motion to waive the procedure bylaw to make sure we get to those 3 addendum items that were posted?
Cool. I will move suspension of the rules so that we could deal with the 3 addendum reports.
So it's 9, 10, and 11.
Correct.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And then we will need a motion to move to defer 3, 4, and 5 to the next meeting of the Riel Community Committee.
Under public hearings, though, not under this.
Oh, under public hearings, yeah.
Yeah, so let's
Okay.
wait until public hearings start to do
Okay,
that.
so
Ken?
we'll start with delegations.
Sounds great. Okay, so first up, speaking to in support of the plan approval for Sage Creek Boulevard, that's report number 7, filed DAS said 6/2014. We have Paul Gray, who's joining us on Zoom. I'm just going to ask you to unmute and turn your video on now. Hello, welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good morning, Chairperson, members of the committee, clerks and administration. My name is Paul Gray, and I'm a Senior Project Manager with Streetside Developments. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today regarding our proposed Sage Collective condominium development located at the southeast intersection of Sage Creek Boulevard and Des Havernats Boulevard. Streetside has extensive experience delivering multifamily condominium developments throughout Winnipeg, and we're pleased to bring forward what we believe is a high-quality residential project that aligns with the planned vision of this area of Sage Creek. The proposal consists of a 168-unit condominium development contained within 2 connected 7-story buildings. The development has been thoughtfully designed to create an attractive gateway presence at this prominent corner while providing housing options that support a broad range of residents. The development is intended to appeal to a variety of purchasers seeking low-maintenance lifestyle, including downsizers, first-time buyers, single-person households, and residents wishing to remain within the community while transitioning to a different housing form. The proposal supports broader city policy objectives by increasing housing choice and providing additional residential options that support residents through different stages of life. From a site design perspective, significant effort has been made to create a pedestrian-oriented and visually attractive development. Main floor walkout units provide direct street interaction and help activate pedestrian environment near the village center, creating a stronger relationship between building and the public realm. The site includes extensive landscaping throughout both public street frontages and interior parking areas to enhance streetscape and overall pedestrian experience. The building also includes resident amenity spaces, including a fitness area, lounge space, bicycle storage, and a rooftop patio area intended to support a strong residential environment. Parking at Sage Collective has been approached carefully and intentionally. We are proposing 225 total parking stalls, including 104 heated underground parking stalls and 121 surface parking stalls, resulting in a parking ratio of approximately 1.34 stalls per dwelling unit. As a condominium developer, it's important that we provide sufficient parking to support our residents' needs and marketability, while also avoiding unnecessary oversupply. Our experience with recently completed condominium developments, including the sold-out project within Sage Creek, located at 120 Sage Creek Boulevard, has shown that parking demand is often influenced more by resident demographics and lifestyle patterns than conventional parking ratios alone. The proposed development is expected to attract a similar demographic profile. The site benefits from proximity to amenities, established pathways, and transit opportunities to provide residents with alternatives to vehicle dependence. In addition, bicycle parking requirements are being exceeded and incorporated into the design to further support transportation flexibility. With respect to visitor parking, we are proposing visitor parking at approximately 10% of total dwelling units rather than 10% of total parking stalls. Based on our experience with similar developments, this approach has consistently functioned well and provided sufficient capacity for visitors. I'd also like to note that there is additional on-street parking opportunities that do exist along Sage Creek Boulevard and Des Havernats Boulevard. Overall, we believe this proposal represents an appropriate and well-designed addition to the community that delivers additional housing choice, high-quality architecture, landscaping, and development that is consistent with both market demand and the surrounding context. Thank you for your time today, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor Mace.
What was that reference to oversupply?
So we had a 72-unit condominium development located at 120 Sage Creek Boulevard, which you might be familiar with.
Yep.
And at this project, at sellout, we had a surplus of stalls. So that's why we're kind of comfortable with coming in at a lower parking ratio here.
No, it wasn't a parking question. It was a supply of condos question. Let me.
Oh, no, not an oversupply of condos. We don't have any condos in this area to sell anymore in the apartment style. So we're looking to get this one going so that we can continue to build off the success of 120 Sage Creek Boulevard.
Okay, we're not on the same wavelength there. I'll just save it for my comments. My second comment is I'm troubled by it's awkward because you're here to speak about the plan approval, but the plan approval is contingent on the variance, and I have issues with the variance, but we have to keep an open mind until the public hearing. So here's my question about the variance. I have issues with the parking aisle being 1/2 of the required length. We spent an enormous amount of time and energy on parking aisle stuff when we debated the fourplex provision under the Housing Accelerator Fund. We're joined by the town expert on that, I see. Richard's here. Why would you need to have drive aisles that are literally 1/2 the regulatory requirement?
So I can definitely provide clarity on this because there is a cross-access agreement that is being registered on these titles. So the parking aisle itself will be full width. It's just due to the property line splitting that drive aisle. That's where that variance requirement comes in. But when you look at it at the macro level, we're not asking for half the width of a drive aisle. It's just a requirement due to the property line, but that will be a full functional drive aisle.
What's the cross-access width? The land to the east or the land to the south?
The land to the east.
Is that the Jansen building?
No, this is an undeveloped site.
You're right.
So
You're further east yet. Yeah, sorry, that's on.
Yeah, and it's also a property that we do own. So there's no risk of only having half of a drive aisle.
Okay,
We want a functional site.
I don't know who is on for the staff on that bit of minutiae, but I will ask about that when we come to the variance. Okay.
Gray will also be able to speak on that when we get to the public hearings.
Fantastic. All right. Very good. I think those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Gray.
Thank you.
Next is Brent Lauman.
Yes, so I hear Brent is joining us in person. This is in support of the plan approval at 55 Sage Creek Boulevard, which is Report 8. Yeah.
There's a way.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Good morning. My name is Brent Lauman. I'm an associate architect at 701 Architecture, and I'm serving as the applicant on behalf of the owner, Qualico Properties, for this application. The subject property is 55 Sage Creek Boulevard, outlined here in red. It's a 13.7 acre parcel bordered on the west by La Jamoutier, on the south by Sage Creek Boulevard, east by Burning Glass Road, and Creekside Terrace, a multifamily residential building to the north. Development on the property has been phased, so the approximately 5.2 acres highlighted in red on the screen have been previously developed and are occupied by 6 existing commercial buildings, including the McDonald's and 5 multi-tenant commercial rental units. The subject of this application is for the development.
Middle there.
Sorry?
Previous slide is the fire station in the,
Correct.
yeah, okay.
That's a separate parcel.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Subject of this application is for the development of the remaining northern 8.5 acres of the site that's currently vacant, highlighted here. The property is zoned both C2 and C3, with the dividing line illustrated here, along with both existing buildings hatched in gray and the 6 proposed new buildings in white. Moving east to west or right to left across your screen, a single 2-story commercial building referred to as Building L is proposed fronting Burning Glass Road on the C2 parcel, and 5 commercial buildings referred to as buildings K, I, G, J, and H are proposed on the C3 parcel. Through our own analysis and consultation with the district planner, the proposal has been developed with the conditions set forth in the original 2014 zoning agreement that governs this site, as well as the current bylaw. So no additional subdivisions, rezonings, variances, or conditional use applications have preceded this plan approval. Plan approval is a condition of the 2014 zoning agreement. Again, moving east to west, Building L fronts Burning Glass Road. It's a two-story commercial building containing proposed personal services, medical or dental clinic, and office uses. Building K is a one-story, approximately 20,000 square foot building and is planned to house a fitness facility. Building I is one-story, approximately 32,000 square feet and is planned to house a grocery. Building G proposes restaurant and personal services uses across 3 commercial rental units. Building J proposes restaurant uses across 3 commercial rental units, and Building H proposes restaurant and personal services uses across 2 commercial rental units and provides a drive-through for the proposed restaurant use. Access to the site is provided by an existing vehicle approach off of Burning Glass Road and a proposed new approach off of La Jamodier. 431 parking stalls, including 17 accessible spaces, are provided, along with 44 total bicycle stalls, with lockable storage provided near the primary entries to each building. 188 trees and 641 shrubs of varying species are proposed on the site, satisfying street edge planting, foundation planting, and screening requirements. Continuous pedestrian connections are provided throughout the site, connecting through to Burning Glass Road to the east and the existing sidewalk to the north. Sun shadow studies have been undertaken with a geolocated model to ensure no adverse shade conditions are being created on adjacent properties, with particular attention paid to the multi-family residential building to the north. I'll just conclude with some street-level visualizations of the proposed buildings. This is building...
Sorry, that was too quick. Just go back one. The multifamily building to the north, you
Yeah.
were talking about there?
I don't know how to back this thing up. It's only letting me go forward. Sorry, I can
Okay.
escape and do it again.
That's kind of unreadable. So you're saying
Yeah.
that the only proximate building that would be residential is the apartment building to the north?
This is showing the extent of the studies. The small sliver of gray at the very top of each image is that multifamily building. And
Okay.
there's no, we're showing that there's no shade impacts there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What page is that on in terms of your submission?
I don't think it is.
Submit, this is showing the sheet. I
Okay,
don't know
so-
if it was included in the report, but it
Okay.
was in our original submission.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You need 2 more minutes?
Yeah, 1 or 2.
Move 2-minute extension.
Thank
All
you.
those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Continue.
So this is building L that fronts Burning Glass Road. An office tenant is proposed on the 2nd level with storefronts along Burning Glass, continuing the commercial pedestrian-oriented street wall established by the previous development to the south. This is a view of buildings K and I, the fitness facility and proposed supermarket or grocery. The commercial buildings on the C3 property are articulated with varying parapet heights, vertical masonry columns, and will feature black anodized storefront glazing, masonry, and eaves or acrylic stucco. This is Building J, housing the restaurant tenants. Building H, again, featuring horizontal articulation, masonry, and eaves. And this is Building G. To conclude, while public consultation isn't a mandate condition of plan approval, the Qualico team held an open house in the lobby of their head office located directly across the street from the property on June 4th to share these plans with residents and business owners who live and work in the Sage Village Town Center. It was a successful event, and I'm told they hosted approximately 50 guests during the open house. Thanks kindly for your time and your extension. I'm happy to answer any questions.
The building, I can't remember which one it is. L, I think.
There's
is-
a few of
Is
them.
the two-story that's opposite Qualico head office there?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be dealt with by this council, but that would be a great library location, and so I don't know if there's some way of, I don't know if we can condition anything into the plan approval. There's nothing under current zoning or current arrangements that would prohibit a potential library use there, I'm assuming.
Not that I'm aware of that prohibits library use, no.
Well, we'll leave that for our intellectual betters here at City Hall, and hopefully we'll figure that out. Thank you for the presentation. I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next delegation.
Councillors, I had received, or I had spoken to Ms. Eno. I had not received a registration for delegation, but if you would be interested in granting her a waiver of the procedure bylaw.
We love Ms. Eno,
Okay.
sure, also move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
All right, welcome, Ms. Eno.
Good morning, councillors. Veronica Eno with Qualico Communities. I don't have anything to add to the presentation, but I wanted to be available today to answer any questions. This is the last commercial phase in Sage Creek. We paved the last residential street last year, so we are running out of things to bring to the committee. But if you have any questions today, just feel free.
We're sorry Sage Creek North isn't in our community committee, but that's line drawing, so, nope. I've been kept in the loop on this very well by Qualico, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good summer.
You as well.
Okay,
Next delegation.
sounds great. Next up, joining us via Zoom, I have Rennie Liu and Paige West to be heard in support of the plan approval on Gypsum Drive. Hello.
Hello. Good morning, councillors, administration, and committee. We are here on behalf of Streetside Development, Paige West and Rennie Liu, to answer any questions regarding 184 to 322 Gypsum Drive.
Remind me how this one differs from the one we just, is this further east? I mean, we've got the three gypsum things going, the very narrow lot business, but I think, and that was at council yesterday. Then we've got the one we had at the last community committee, I think, on gypsum. And is this,
Correct.
is this across the street or east of that one? The drawings are so
Right.
small, it's hard to trace.
This is across the street from Block 48, so directly north, right behind Ward Avenue.
Okay. So this, okay, so now is the time we should have, we started to have this conversation the last time, but now we'll have it. Okay, so this is the parcel where there was a lot of bad noise from people on Wood Sage, which is across Ward, right? Sort of, we paid extra for our houses, it was deemed that way. Don't put anything too big across Ward from us, don't put anything commercial. So just quickly then, so the proposal then is, it's just townhouse?
Right, so we have 14 duplexes here, and we've worked very close with Qualico Communities regarding this. There is a fence, a 6-foot-high privacy fence installed by Communities along Ward Avenue as well.
Okay. Okay, so, and again, this has nothing to do with the very narrow lots business, right? That's a whole,
No,
that's
that's,
sort of
yes,
around the
that's not us.
corner, I think. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Lots of activity on gypsum.
we're excited. Yeah.
School's open? Yes, thank you, Andrew Smith, yes. All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Okay, so next up to be heard in the plan approval at 391, 397, and 401 Provencher Boulevard, we have Brendan Salico and Brendan Johnson. Just to confirm, will you be sharing the time?
It'll just be me speaking today, so just one of us. I just have a presentation to queue up.
All right.
Good morning, councillors, clerks, and administration. My name is Brennan Johnson. I'm a planner at Landmark Planning and Design. We're at 298 Waterfront Drive. Thanks for the opportunity to present to you today regarding a plan approval at 391, 397, and 401 Provencher Boulevard. We are here on behalf of a consortium of local doctors, medical professionals, and IT professionals. Affinity Architecture led the site and building design processes, and our office led the planning and engagement processes for this. Briefly for the site context, this is 3 lots on Provencher Boulevard, totaling almost 17,000 square feet in area. We conducted our stakeholder engagement in fall 2024 and spring 2025. We were at this committee for a public hearing in October of 2025. The file has since received council approval in April of 2026, which brings us to the plan approval presentation today. The proposed design might look familiar. It is almost identical to what was submitted for the subdivision and rezoning. So we are looking at a 6-story mixed-use building. There would be 3 commercial spaces on the main floor intended to accommodate a medical office, pharmacy, and the existing IT business on site as well. The total square footage for the commercial area is about 5,700 square feet. There'd be multiple primary entrances fronting onto Provencher Boulevard. And then on levels 2 through 6, there would be 45 dwelling units. That would include a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. And it would also have primary entrance onto Provencher. There would also be 28 parking stalls at the rear of the site, and tucked under a portion of the building, there would be a designated Peg City Car Co-op stall and vehicle, designated parking for the CRU spaces, or those commercial units, and accessible parking as well. We are proposing secure indoor bike parking for 15 stalls. There would also be outdoor bike parking for visitors and new street edge landscaping. On the site plan, you can just see the building is brought towards the Provencher Boulevard sidewalk to create that urban pedestrian environment. All of the building entrances are recessed to make sure there is unobstructed movement on the sidewalks. People can get into and out of the building. A new sidewalk will connect people to the parking lot at the rear, which is where all of the parking is, as mentioned. This just shows you briefly what the main floor would look like for the commercial spaces. So 3 large units and then a typical residential floor plate above. And then for the elevations, we are looking at a mix of colors and materials that reflect the North St. Boniface heritage. And we really looked to the Belgian Club building adjacent to us in terms of colors and materials. So there would be a mix of gray, white, brown, and orange paneling. There would also be EIFS brick paneling on the 1st and 2nd levels wrapping around the building, which will give the same appearance as the Belgian Club. There are Juliet.
Remind me what EIFS is, aside from a baseball pitch from the mid-1950s. What is EIFS?
EIFS is a type of paneling or hardyboard paneling, so it's a durable material, and then it is often stamped or textured to give the appearance of other materials such as brick. So that's what we're looking at in this case. So upon close inspection, someone who is an expert in the matter would likely be able to tell that it's EIFS, but from a distance or just to the general public, it gives the same appearance as brick.
I'll save my explanation of the pitch to a later date. I'm sure you'll want to hear that. Carry on. Sorry to interrupt.
No worries. On the front of the building, there are Juliet balconies proposed to maintain that interaction between the street and the public realm. And then at the back of the building, overlooking the Seine River, there are projecting balconies. So same materials throughout the both sides and the rear of the building. We are looking at 40 new trees and shrubs on site, so that would be street edge landscaping and in the parking lot area, and these are just the species that were chosen. And the proposal does adhere to the design-related policies in the North St. Boniface secondary plan, so that includes providing a mix of commercial uses to support local residents, having mixed-use buildings with commercial on the ground floor and residential above, and then taking cues from the existing character and context.
Sorry. By Seine River, did you mean Red River there?
Nope. So at the back of the site, the Seine River flows through with the Seine River Greenway and the Gabriel Lagimodier Park. So that would be just to the north of where the building is proposed to be.
I need a bigger map.
I've got 2 slides, and then I can flip back to that, the context map, if that's helpful.
Go ahead, go ahead.
The proposal also adheres to design-related policies of our Winnipeg and Complete Communities 2.0. And in summary, we feel the proposed design is well suited to the North St. Boniface neighborhood. It's the result of over a year of collaboration with stakeholders and the City of Winnipeg. The site is located in an area with a number of amenities well suited to support more residents. It does provide that mix of commercial uses that help to create a thriving Provencher Boulevard as called for in the secondary plan.
How much time do you need?
10 seconds.
Yeah, fine, some of it.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
All those in
It does.
favor?
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at the wrong map earlier, that's on me, sorry about that.
No
I
worries.
see your point.
Okay.
It also features a high-quality design that addresses the policies of complete communities in our Winnipeg, and it increases housing choice and option for this neighborhood. Thank you.
You,
I'm looking at slide, or I guess 3 of 17, site context. Oh, yeah, there you go. So, where are you planning the ingress and egress to this site?
So right on the west side, there's an existing public lane. So that is where access would be taken from, and it would connect to a rear parking area. There's an additional 2 approaches that access the site now from Provencher Boulevard that would be closed and rebuilt.
So if you're heading eastbound, you can turn into the subject site from an eastbound lane,
Yes, there is a break in the median there where you could turn left.
okay? And you'd also be able to exit from there and turn eastbound if necessary as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Looks a little challenging, but do you know how many movements are planned in terms of the amount of cars and that, you know, will be part of this building?
Not exactly the number of movements. Traffic study wasn't required, so we didn't look into it in that level of detail. There are 28 parking stalls proposed. The most traffic is typically that morning rush hour peak in the afternoon. We would expect that a lot of the traffic would probably be heading westbound towards downtown, but I don't know the movements.
Is there any current signage there based on the businesses that exist?
In terms of traffic signage?
Yeah.
No, there isn't.
Okay. All right. I'm just concerned because this is a busy street, Provencher, and I just want to make sure that, you know, safety concerns are addressed and traffic congestion concerns would be addressed as well.
Yeah, definitely. So we did work closely with Public Works throughout the subdivision and rezoning application, and there were no concerns at that time. Preference was actually indicated to come from that existing lane. It won't disrupt existing traffic flows, and also because Provencher on the north side of that median, it widens to 3 lanes there. There's really good visibility, so you can see traffic coming both east and west.
Yeah, just further to the west, though, there would be traffic lights there, correct?
Correct. At Desmirons, there are traffic lights.
Okay, and there's also train tracks there, but are those train tracks active and?
They are active. I live in North St. Boniface, and it's pretty infrequent. Just in my experience, I make a lot of left turns there coming out of that Shell gas station, and it's never been an issue. It hasn't really been a point of congestion, at least from what I've experienced.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
no, thank you.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next delegations will be heard on the plan approval of 250 Paulette Duguay Street. If you would both like to head down. The first person registered to speak is Madhurima Das.
It's all right. I could start while
Would you like to
Madhurima-
share the time?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. It'd be all right to start?
As long as it doesn't.
It's okay to start? Thank you very much. I'm Jackie East, and very glad to be back to Winnipeg, and I'm working at Ironclad Developments as Director of Development, and my colleague Madhurima Das is here today as well to walk through a very short presentation. I just wanted to introduce the project. We're really excited because we're one of the first developments going into the old public markets site in St. Boniface. So it's a great day to show you what that's going to look like and how we're going to carry on. And I'm going to hand it over to Madhurima now, and we're both here to answer any questions.
Good morning, councillors. I'll quickly run through the presentation for 250-260 Paulette Duguay Street. The presentation overview would be as follows. Introduction followed by seeking plan approval, then brief site context, and lastly, our development proposal. The site is 2.44 acres in size. It is a brownfield site, home to former meat packing plants. On the west side of the site is the CPR immersion railway tracks with Paulette Duguay Street as the only frontage / entrance / access to our site. The site is currently vacant. This is a major redevelopment site known as the Public Market Secondary Plan. Our site is designated as higher density residential, which supports our proposal. According to the City of Winnipeg zoning bylaw, the site is zoned residential, multifamily, medium, which can support development almost up to 6 stories in height. The site is surrounded by similar RMF zones. Ironclad is proposing 146 units with almost 1:1 parking ratio and 32 bike spaces that surpasses the minimum requirement of the zoning bylaw. Moving on with our site plan, we are proposing 2 buildings with approximately 70 units per building. The suite mix would be as follows: 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, and studio apartments. Approximately 60 parking stalls are proposed in the underground parkades. The frontage area is designed to enhance the streetscape appeal, featuring open amenity spaces such as an enclosed dog run, pergolas, and landscaped gardens. Each building will be supported by its own parkade, access ramps, and driveway. All units will have private balconies, contributing to livability and comfort for tenants. Moving on with our landscape plan, it exceeds the bylaw standards, providing an additional of 59 trees and 226 shrubs beyond the minimum requirements. Fencing details and garbage enclosures are fully compliant with the regulations. And lastly, with some renderings, which shows the shared common plaza for seating and passive recreation. The image on the right bottom, it shows the rooftop amenity spaces, the variety of outdoor seating options that's available for the tenants. Overall, we have ensured a cohesive and harmonious architectural expression for both the buildings. And that brings to the end of our presentation. Questions?
Okay, any questions? All right. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right.
Councillors, somebody else has come forward seeking to speak on the non-conforming approach at 88 Wildflower Way. That's report 1. Would you like to suspend the rules to allow it? Are you the applicant? Michael? Michelle?
Briefly, I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, please make your way down.
the staff are in favor of it.
Could I get a motion for suspension of the rules?
Yeah, you want to move it? All those in favor?
Yep.
Opposed, carried.
Good morning. My apologies, I misunderstood when I started. I thought it was 10:30. But if there's any questions on this application for the non-conforming approach, I'm here to answer them.
You've read the city report, which is in favor. You're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that concludes registered delegations.
Okay. Move into reports.
Sounds good.
I'll move given the public services uncharacteristic support of a non-conforming approach, I'm happy to move the public service recommendation at number 1.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Also, this particular item offers the opportunity for supporting comments because it's not an appealable process, but it's up to you.
The one is struck by the irony that we are now concerned about driveways crossing over sidewalks, given the aforementioned fourplex debate when our infill guidelines requirements that all access come off back lanes were shed in order to allow front access in an effort to densify with fourplexes. Leaving that aside, I see this concern approaches here. There's some reference to it does not have any sidewalks, so we'll allow this. Considerable irony given that we approved a fourplex plan that would have interfered with sidewalk accesses all over the city. Regardless, it seems like it is that rare thing when the public service is actually in favor of a non-conforming approach, and given the lack of neighborhood opposition, I would be supportive. How's that?
Sounds good. Call the question on the supporting comments.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Great.
Item 2, approval of subdivision and servicing agreement for land located at 999, 1001, and 1005 Mission Street.
Right.
This
There's
is-
no, public service is okay with this? There's no servicing issues? There's no one here anyway, whatever.
Recommendations.
I'll move the public service recommendation.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Plan approval.
I guess I'm doing all of these because you're in the chair, which is fair enough. Okay, I'll move the plan approval at number 3, noting that it does not come into force and effect until the associated variance.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Number 4, a very detailed presentation there. My apologies for bungling the relative orientation of the sane and the red. That's on me. Good presentation. Yes, I will move then the recommendation to the public service.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Next one's a bit trickier because I don't think we're dealing with the variance, but we'll have to sort that out at some later point. So it's kind of chicken and egg stuff, but I will move the plan approval at number 5.
I would recommend if we're going to lay over the public hearing, that we also lay over this item.
The
along with
over
it.
of the plan approval to our
September
September
1st?
2nd meeting.
September 1st. Tuesday.
Wow.
First
Okay.
meeting. I think there may be a subsequent request for a special meeting coming from our august staff here, but we can always come back and.
Because of public hearings needing to be on the record or to have a certain amount of time and to give notice of special meetings, if there is a desire to have a special meeting for these public hearings, I think that we should.
Well, I don't know,
Well, it's not- we
Allard-
can't
I
even
don't know
start until
Allard's
10:30.
schedule. It hasn't been provided. Move to September 1st.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Our familiar friends here on Gypsum Drive, we've had a lot of these, and the very narrow lots thing is moving along well just down the street, so pleased to see that. And this addresses the concerns previously raised by the people across Ward Avenue. So I will move plan approval on Gypsum Drive.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Is that wording was okay, Madam Clerk? Man, we got a lot in Sage Creek here today, haven't we? I'll
I would
move,
also recommend that we hear the variance on this one and come back to it, if that's okay.
fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, okay, beauty. Okay, and then 8 then is standalone, isn't it? It isn't tied in with something later, so I will move. Still would like to see a library going in there, but that's for another day. So yes, I'll move the plan approval. That's exciting. There's some good commercial development there. Plan approval as submitted on number 8.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Keep on rocking here?
Yeah, we've
Chair-
already suspended the
Chair?
rules for
Okay.
this, so.
Addendum reports?
Yeah, addendum report. The first item, I've got people complaining about traffic at St. Anne's Road and Abenoji-Mickina, and can you, why haven't you done something and do something? And we're sitting, it's this damnable future services account. We get money paid in by developers. We don't do anything. This development actually goes back to the 80s. We sit on the money. I think it's a breach of trust, personally. I think or a breach of fiduciary duty, that we then take all the interest and we dump it into general revenue. So you can't use the money for anything other than this little narrow geographic area. But we take the interest and we just put that into general revenue. Guess what? Now this is worth half of what it was in real terms. Even at construction inflation of 3%, you've lost half the purchasing power. So we should, and I appreciate some of the staff have said to me, other cities have an expiry date. If you take someone's money and you don't do anything with it, it's just bad faith, frankly. If you don't do anything with it for 40 years, and we've got one in San Vital where the money's been sitting there since the 70s on Avalon Road. So it's just like completely bad faith. So I would say let's do something. I don't even care what it is at this stage. Let's do something to help the traffic at St. Anne's and Abenoji using the money we've been sitting on since the Obama administration. So, so moved.
Yeah, interesting, 119,000 is the amount, or 120,000 based on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Tracy Graham provided that. Thank you to our very good CFO on that.
Okay, what kind of treatment or what kind of, can be done for 120,000 bucks?
I feel I am howling in the wind here on this one. I don't know. A lot less than it could have been done 17 years ago. Like, we sit on this money, I don't know why we do it. I don't know why we do it this way. It's just completely illusory that it loses value from the day we take it in. I mean, not in after inflationary terms. So I don't know, Marcus. It's a fair question. If you don't want to vote for it, that's fine too. I mean, I know you're on Public Works, and it'll die at Public Works, but I want to send some sort of signal that this future services account just, like, it's just immoral, frankly. Immoral is too strong. It is probably a breach of trust or breach of fiduciary duty, the way we administer this.
Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
The very excellent staff at the police board indicated to me I should make clear this is a motion coming forward. Again, as a ward councillor, this has nothing to do with my serving on the police board. There's no inside knowledge I have, and I think I've been clear saying we should try and do something in the south, and I think Councillor Chambers, during his long tenure on the police board, tried his best too. So it's an attempt to get the police service to start talking about a South End bricks and mortar presence. So again, nothing to do with my role on the police board here, strictly raising this as ward councillor, as I think I'm entitled to do.
And thank you for the, this motion. Again, I spent 7 of my 8 years so far on the police board. And one of the things I recognize as well, especially as a counselor for the South area, is, you know, the concerns of rising crime in the South area. And then recognizing that the South is a rapidly growing area, so population size as well as geographic size. You've got Waverly West to the west, you've got Sage Creek to the east. They're all part of the South area between Councillor Mays' ward, my ward, Councillor Luke's ward, and a little bit about Councillor Allard. You're looking at probably close to 200,000 people. And so, again, recognizing that police have to provide services not only to the greater population or the increased population, but also greater distances, and recognizing the fact that the East District is doing a lot of work on Dugald for Transcona and parts of St. Boniface and parts of East Kildonan and North Kildonan, et cetera, et cetera. The West Division office on Shaftesbury is dealing a lot with St. James, with Lindenwoods, with St. Vital, with Waverly West and River Park South, Fort Richmond, St. Norbert. Again, it's an extensive area. So having a dedicated service in the South area where residents can, you know, lodge their complaints or reports, or again, having that base in the South area where they are patrolling, you know, again, Waverly West, River Park South, or St. Norbert, St. River, and the St. Vital wards, I think will ease the concerns of residents in terms of having a police presence in the South area. So again, I'm supportive of this.
Well, thank you. Good of you. Pleasantly, good. Thank you, Marcus. Yeah, so moved.
Yeah, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Number 11.
11, you're in, I'll keep rolling here. We did get communication on this from Councillor Allard and his office, so thank you for that. So I'll move the application for a CIG in the amount of $6,857.08 from, the application is from La Maison Gabriel Roy to assist with the cost and maintenance and repairs of facades and property fence construction. I'll move that be approved. So I'm not agreeing, I guess, with the public service recommendation. Yes, Councillor Allard wants to fund this. I guess this has to work its way up then.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Perfect
CIGP
timing.
application.
On to public hearings.
All
So-
those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay,
Roll right in. You want to?
yep.
Okay,
So we're gonna open and close and then.
so,
Yeah. This will be fairly.
in accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, the process the committee will follow is that the applicant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the application. Next, those registered for information are heard, followed by those registered, I always miss this line. Next, those registered in opposition are heard, followed by those registered for information. My apologies. Finally, the applicant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made, but no new information is permitted. Please note that when your name is called, it is your opportunity to speak. However, you're not obligated to do so. For a more in-depth overview of the public hearing process and other information pertaining to what happens before, during, and after a public hearing, please consult with the City Clerk's Department website, and please note that all public hearings are recorded and will be a part of the public record. Should you have any questions after the hearings have concluded, you can contact the City Clerk's Department. Would you like to get right into number one?
No, I'd like to move layover of this item to the November meeting of the Riel Community Committee. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact calendar date.
November or
Yeah,
September?
November.
Okay, let me look it up.
I can provide supporting reasons.
I'm just making sure that we're okay with our 3-meeting timeline. September, October, November.
There is no October meeting.
November 17th, you're correct, yeah,
Okay, shall I provide, so, yeah, that's only 2 down the road, actually, right?
that's right.
Yeah, I sat through a lengthy discussion yesterday in this very chamber about the inadequate traffic infrastructure currently existing in Precinct K. And part of the reason it is inadequate is because Dan Vandal managed to get provisions in that would have had Ward Avenue as 4 lanes. People bought their homes on that understanding. The civil service, with no notice to the area councilors, elected to allow the developer not to build that. So I guess I just get all the goddamn complaints. Sorry to swear, it's been an extremely frustrating process. I get all the complaints, but hey, we don't have a road, who cares? All the complaints go to the councilor. Conjoined with that yesterday, we had Councillor Eadie, who's on EPC, stating that perhaps we don't need to do that road because perhaps we won't have any room to do any further densification in Precinct K because we may not have sewage capacity at the South End treatment plant. Perhaps he's in possession of knowledge I do not have. That is fine. I'm not attacking Councillor Eadie. I'm trying to repeat what he said. So I'm sure as hell not going to sit here today and vote for more densification in Precinct K when I can't service the existing people there. I can't do that because the civil service forfeited the ability to do a 4-lane road. And we have people on EPC saying, well, maybe we don't even need the road. We won't be able to densify any further because of sewage treatment capacity. So I'm not wasting 1 second of my time on this because that is what it would be. Let's put it to November. By then, all of the landmark folks have gone. Let's deal with it in November. That's when Qualico will be here with their plan for Bonavista South or whatever they're going to call it. I'm out there, I'm spending hours on this stuff. I'm at the public open house Wednesday night where they're talking about traffic plan and traffic impact study. But let's pretend none of that exists and let's just approve more densification. I absolutely refuse to do that. So I'm moving to lay it over to November.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Okay, so just for the record, in case anyone is watching via YouTube, that was item number 1, a secondary plan for Precinct K under file SPA 4/2026. The decision is that the hearing be adjourned to the Riel Community Committee meeting on November 17th at 10:30 a.m. in the chamber, and that representations remain open. We haven't opened representations for this item.
Thank you. On item number 2, do you need to do a brief?
I would like to introduce it if I could. Thank you.
And I'll have the one question, I think, on the access, the drive aisle business. Okay, thank you.
Item 2 is a variance at Sage Creek Boulevard under file DAV 114730-2026D. The process we follow is that the applicant is heard first, followed by those in support, those in opposition, and those registered for information, and the applicant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made, but no new information is permitted, and speakers are permitted 5 minutes for their presentations. If there's anybody in the Zoom meeting, we will ensure that they are muted and will only be permitted to speak when called upon. And at this point, typically, we would hand it over to the planner for an overview of the item.
Okay.
This file concerns multiple variances related to setbacks, balcony projections, buffering of a parking area, number of parking spaces, and drive aisle width requirements for the development of a multifamily residential building with an accessory parking area. Subject property is located along Sage Creek Boulevard and Des Ivernats Boulevard on the southeast corner of the roundabout in the Sage Creek neighborhood of the St. Vital ward. The site is currently vacant, and the applicant is proposing to construct a 168-unit, 7-story multifamily residential dwelling In the basement, there is a parkade, and the main floor features amenities such as a lounge, gym, bicycle parking, and residential units. Finally, the 2nd to 7th floors feature residential units with a rooftop patio on the 2nd floor. The applicant is proposing 225 parking spaces with 104 stalls in the parkade and 121 surface parking spaces. The surface parking is located at the rear of the building and accessed from Sage Creek Boulevard and Des Hivernales Boulevard, while the parkade is accessed via the surface parking lot. 7 accessible parking stalls are included as well. Additionally, bike parking is provided on the main floor in 2 storage rooms, as well as outside of the primary building entrance. Under the Complete Communities Direction Strategy 2.0, the site is within the established neighborhood recent communities policy area. The property is zoned RMFL, Residential Multifamily Large District. The Urban Planning and Design Division recommends approval of the subject's variance for the following reasons. The variances related to yard setbacks and balcony projections will have a minimal impact on the neighboring properties as the subject property is a corner lot abutting a roundabout with existing multifamily buildings. The reduced yard setback also provides adequate space for landscaping. The variances related to drive aisle width, parking area buffering, and parking space side yard setbacks are required in order to create an accessory parking area that will be cohesive with the proposed future abutting parking area for a multifamily building to the east. So there will be 10 feet on this property for the drive aisle width and 10 feet on the other property, equaling 20 feet, which is the required width for the parking drive aisle. And then finally, concerning the parking, the applicant has noted that a previous apartment-style condominium that they developed in Sage Creek provided a 1.5 to 1 parking ratio, but has ultimately resulted in underutilization of the provided parking spaces. As this proposed multifamily building is expected to have a similar purchaser profile according to the applicant, a 1.34 to 1 parking ratio is anticipated to meet residents' parking demands without resulting in an underutilization of the provided parking spaces. Additionally, the proposed multifamily building provides 50 indoor bike parking spaces, which will help offset the parking space reduction as well as encourage alternative and sustainable transportation options for residents. Finally, the applicant has noted that in previous developments, they provided guest parking at approximately 10% of the total number of dwelling units rather than 10% of the total number of parking stalls, and found that this has consistently provided adequate capacity to accommodate guest parking demands. Finally, street parking is also available on both Sage Creek Boulevard and Des Hivernales Boulevard, which will help offset the guest parking space reduction when supplementary capacity is required. As already noted, there is an associated plan approval, which we can deal with afterwards. That concludes my summary. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
So it's not just the drive, it's not just the drive, the drive aisles, I think of as being kind of interior, or something different than the driveway, but you're saying it's not just the like entryway that's gonna have the cross-access business, it's the interior. Basically, we aren't cutting from 20 to 10 feet at
Yes,
any point
correct.
in here. Okay, and are you troubled at all by the no side yards instead of 8 feet to open parking spaces?
That again is, that no side yard setback from parking is just because the 2 parking lots will be abutting each other.
Okay.
So it creates a better,
I've
it's more
wondered that.
cohesive
Okay,
like this
thank you,
anyways.
good report, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the report. I'm just looking at page 16 of 21. So in terms of the variances for the sidewalk, variances for the side yard, I'm just trying to orient myself in terms of, okay, so does Hivernauts is to the north?
West.
West. Okay, hold on. Okay.
North is Sage Creek.
North, okay, north of Sage Creek,
Although
okay.
understandable in that all maps of Sage Creek tend to have the wacky north to the left orientation, so this, to your credit, does not. This is,
Okay. So the side yard variance, it's not for the total side yard, it's just for a portion of it?
So there are 2 side yard variances. There's the corner side yard, which is because it abuts 2 streets, and there's the buildings pushed up closer to the street, but there's also the no side yard for the parking area because it's abutting another parking area and sharing, and the drive aisle straddles the property line.
Yeah, and I've seen that here now. Okay, all right, that's all the questions I have.
I'm good.
Okay. So then we will proceed to hear the applicant on this file. We have Mr. Gray. Here you are. Just ask you to unmute.
Thanks, guys. It might be helpful just to provide further context here. So I'm going to share my screen just so we can see exactly what we're talking about with the property line and the adjacent parking lot.
That's
Just
this
to
line here.
provide some further clarity
Yeah.
that the continuous drive
We've
aisle
got-
will still be 20 feet wide.
Yeah, we've got.
So we want a functional parking lot just as much as you guys do.
Yeah,
And the setback requirements are just to be consistent with the existing multifamily on all other three sides of this roundabout. Happy to answer any other further questions you may have.
no, now that like I said, 16 of 21, I can see the, where the boundary lines are drawn and where that delineates between your property and the adjacent property.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for saving us a multi-hour debate over 0 guest parking spots, because I see you have 17 here, so that those of you who were with us last week will be appreciative that we don't have to debate that. Good, I think, given the earlier presentation, I think kind of fleshed out most of
Yeah.
what I would, and good spot by Councilor Chambers there. So the one question, the cross access is not a variance, right? It's a condition, it's an easement, or it's a right of way.
Yeah, it's a private easement that we are registering on title.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you.
But due to the property lines, that's why you require the variances regardless.
Okay. Do we have to read that in, Madam Clerk? Like, it's a variance and then, or we're just approving?
If you're agreeing with the public service recommendation, then
In the conditions?
the conditions are part of that recommendation,
Okay.
yeah.
Very good. Okay. I think I'm ready.
Let me just
Oh, the
say for the
applicant has
record
read
there that this was the applicant. I do not have anyone else registered in support, in opposition, or for information on this file. Is anyone in the gallery interested in speaking on the variance at Sage Creek Boulevard? Okay. And Mr. Gray is still with us. I mean, we might have said a sentence of comments in the meantime. Is there anything you'd like to rebut?
No, I think we're aligned and we're excited about it and looking forward to providing what we feel is a very attractive option to Sage Creek. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I'll move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'll move that the receipt of public representations be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'll move that in accordance with subsection 247.3 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plan, does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property and adjacent area, including an area separated from the property by a street or waterway, is the minimum modification of a zoning bylaw required to relieve the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property, and D, is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. Supporting reasons, this does sort of continue to provide the edge along one of the major streets, Sage Creek Boulevard, in Sage Creek. It's starting to fill in where they're just big open fields right now. Those of us who run in the 10K race there hopefully won't have to run through the parking lot or something, but I'm sure that's been worked out. Hopefully that's been worked out. Yeah, I think it's density at a reasonable level in an area that's been very well planned, I think. And yeah, so the variances are not onerous, and thank you to staff and delegate for explaining that, the drive aisle business. That was much appreciated. So moved.
Yeah, and I'll add my supporting reasons. I think this is a great development. I think it will add, you know, the required density in Sage Creek. You know, the explanation of the dry val and the variance, that's not really a variance. Great that you're able to negotiate with the adjoining property and come out to a reasonable access to the dry val and making sure that there's reasonable access. So again, I support this plan.
They can use the library if we ever get it.
I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'll move that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in and the variance be approved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'll move that the public hearing with respect to this application be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Please note that the committee's decision with respect to this variance application may be appealed. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so is included in the order issued that will be mailed to all persons registered.
So,
I'm, in the absence of our colleague, these next three items are all in his ward, so I'm not prepared to proceed. So I will move layover to not the November, but to the September
first.
1st?
September 1st, there has been requests to explore a special meeting. Is that something committee would entertain? I'd have to probably take a recess and confirm with Councillor Allard's schedule.
Yeah.
Your view?
Yeah, no, yeah, we can do that. Just do a quick recess and then just look at his schedule. If, like,
And
we're
yours.
looking at July, August for a special meeting?
So some of these items have to go up to council, so it would be, I think, next week in July would be the deadline in order for this to get
Okay.
on their agendas.
Gonna have to repost all of that for a meeting next week.
No, we'll say it on the record and send a courtesy notice.
Yeah, if you can,
Yeah.
if you can get his schedule, yes.
I'm looking at schedules. So council meets July 16th? So.
Right, but the item would need to we should try to make it in time for PP&D, which is July 6th. EPC is July 7th. I could suggest Thursday, July 2nd. But we'd want
Oh,
to
yeah,
make sure we get Councillor Allard on board and also approval from the mayor's office.
yeah.
I'm not available July 2nd.
I am, but not available July 3rd to the 6th. I'm available, which would be what you need for PP&D.
I mean, can try also a little bit earlier in the week. It's just a little bit of a chaotic time with registrations for candidates at city clerks.
Well, June 30th in the afternoon is good for me, or July 2nd.
Okay, well, I will see if we can talk to Councillor Allard about June 30th with, how does that work for you, Councillor Mays?
In the afternoon.
Hard conflict on that, so.
So if we can look into July 2nd with yourself and Councillor Allard?
Yep.
Okay,
Or it sounded like June 30th maybe worked for you, but.
June 30th works for me only in the afternoon.
okay, so I would ask if you could allow me a recess to try to get a hold of the councillor and the hold of the mayor's office and
Yep.
return in.
So we'll,
you.
a 5-minute recess. Okay, welcome back to the June 26th meeting of the Riel Community Committee, and we're in the hearings portion. I'll turn it over to our clerk.
Thank you. Okay, so as Councillor Allard is absent today and the will of the committee is for him to be present for these files, we are scheduling a special meeting. So for this special meeting, we have item number 3, that's a variance at Taché Avenue, file DAV 16605-2026D. In addition, we have item 4, subdivision and rezoning at Ibrahima Diallo and Paulette Duguay, as well as item 5, that's a zoning agreement amendment at Ibrahima Diallo and Paulette Duguay. So we have received the mayor's approval in accordance with the procedure bylaw in order to have a special meeting on June 30th, that's a Tuesday, June 30th, at 1 p.m. here in the council chamber, 510 Main Street. Representations have not been opened for these items, so new participants are free to register for up until June 30th. I also understand that the will of the committee is to rescind the previous decision on the Taché plan approval and to move that that item also be changed to be laid over to the special meeting on June 30th. So I think I just need to make sure we have a motion for these 3 public hearing items.
And separate motion on the other business?
Yes, please.
Okay. So moved to lay over items 3, 4, 5 to a special meeting on June 30th.
Correct.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those carried.
Okay, and if we could go back to that plan approval for Taché Avenue, the motion is to rescind the layover to September 1st and to reschedule for the special meeting on June 30th.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those carried.
Thank you. Okay, and then we can go back to our plan approval for Sage Creek.
Is that Sage Creek Boulevard? It wasn't the gypsum one, right? It was
Correct,
the-
and there's 2 Sage Creek plan approvals. This is the one without a number.
Right, thanks, number 7. Okay, I will move in light of the approval of the variance, I will now move item number 7, the approval of the submitted plans.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those carried.
Okay, I don't have any other new business.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Yes, thanks to Councilor Chambers for his support there on those motions. That's appreciated.
Adjournment?
I move adjournment.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those carried. We stand adjourned.
Thank you all.